Mohamed Toure, big time linebacker for you guys, tore his ACL. Second time I believe he's done that. Huge blow. Feels so bad for the kid. Could you just talk real quickly about the impact of that injury?
So, he's the sack leader last year. He's somebody who suffered an injury only 2 years ago, comes back last year and is really one of the most pivotal, impactful players on the field for our defense. I was over on the OHIO podcast recently, and some of the guys were saying they had Toure up there as like the number 3 linebacker in the Big Ten. He certainly was on top of many people's lists, conference wide, nationwide, and clearly for Rutgers. It's a serious blow because he was also a team captain. He's somebody who was an emotional leader, and they fed off of his energy. He really encapsulated what it was to be chopped, that culture Shiano's always pushing. And it's tough to lose a player like that from an X's and O's standpoint, but also from a emotional standpoint. Players like that, there's no getting around it. Rutgers has expectations this year. The defense has expectations, and that kind of player, whether it's a consistent traditional linebacker or whether he's a hybrid, which he was, moving from linebacker to getting on the line on third downs, rushing the passer, guys like that, ball players change games. And in a
Mm-hmm.
season that I think Rutgers is going to have a lot of toss-ups, a lot of parity on the football field, it hurts to lose a guy who changes games with plays. That being said, Rutgers has some significant depth at linebacker. It's going to be tested because Tyreen Powell is coming back from an injury now. I don't know. I don't think you'll see him, to be honestly, tomorrow or tonight. I don't think you'll see him for the first game or two, and then we have a bye week. I think the earliest you're going to see him is VTech. I could be wrong, but the depth is going to be tested, but there is depth there. Jabome is a kid from Canada who the staff is very high on. He's somebody who they think could be the next great linebacker at Rutgers. So he's going to step into that role. Moses Walker, highly touted 4-star recruit from New York, actually was down to Penn State and us, came to Rutgers. Highly, big expectations for him. So those guys are going to be tested. This
Yep.
team is going to be tested. You start off with an injury. You don't like to see it. That's football, though. It hurts. It stings. Good news is we're going to have him back for next year, most likely, unless he decides to go to the league, where next year we might be kind of thin on defense with a bunch of guys expected to move on. So that's kind of the long and short of it. It's not fun, and
Yeah.
we're just going to try to cope.
Yeah. This might be a tough question. Like, how many games, like, does he, like, do you think that this is going to cause a change in the win-loss projection, losing Toure?
It 100% could. You could see. I mean, look, it might not if guys are firing on all cylinders, which is what you hope, you preach if you're talking about Chop. Well, if he's out, well, who else on defense is going to step up maybe in a different way? What committee of guys are going to step up? And is the offense going to compensate? But it could be up to 2 games that it costs in the win-loss
Mm-hmm.
column. To be honest, if you have a pivotal game and you're talking about a sack on third down that kills a drive or a fumble or something, it could be 2 games. Now you hope it's no games. And I think realistically, if we're settling on averages here, it could be a game. You could have a tight game where if you see a quarterback, hold the ball for a while, scramble and make a throw that keeps a drive alive and we lose that game, I think you point to that game and you say, you can never definitively say, but I bet you if Toure was there, maybe he would have made an impact. We'll
Yeah.
never know, but I think it
Yeah.
certainly is substantial enough to impact the win-loss record. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we're in a place where the season was successful enough we don't think about it. But if
Yep.
the season's not, or there was a close game that could have meant a big difference in legacy of the season, I think you're going to see a little bit of discussion. But who knows who else goes down, who else steps up. So
Yeah.
say Jabome comes in and kills it. Well, then I think even if we do lose, you're not just blaming that. So we'll see.
Right. Well, speedy recovery. Prayers for Toure. Great player, great kid.